Well, I've come down to Condell Lodge tonight and it's very busy, so I've come upstream and I'm just opposite the farm at Eelmire, and I'm going to fish this little peg here tonight. Some nice willows opposite. It's nice and quiet. It's very deep water on the far side. A steady flow, but still very slow. The river's very low. Well, it's a lovely place to spend an evening, and it's a glorious day. There's no sunshine, slightly overcast, 21 degrees Celsius, nice and warm. Well, I'll get all my gear out and see what we can do here. It's fresh water. Little lodge, and I've got this lovely big flat peg here, nothing behind me, car parked up the bank. Easy fishing. It really is easy fishing. And a nice swim opposite, which I'll show you. Everything's ready to go in now. It's 6:10. Deep slow water opposite, although the river's well down and it's still got that peaty colour in it. I'm just calling it Top Cliff on my way down. There's one chap there on his own. There was 3 cars at S&P, but down here it's quite busy, and 2 chaps fishing right at the top. A Heedle Friday, they'll be staying overnight. And there's a crowd down at the big horse show there, the barbecue going, and that's very, very nice. Some young lads and their dads, I think, and they're all fishing away there quite quietly. So it's, but just listen to that silence. Despite the fact that it's busy, it's an amazingly quiet place. Lovely. Anyway, I'll put in now and hopefully we'll get a barbel on the bank. But this is completely new water to me. I've never fished this before. Well, which is quite exciting in a way. One thing I've noticed here is these honeybees, and this is a honeybee that's just flown away. They're very dark. English bees, or British bees, the original very dark bee was completely wiped out by something called the Isle of Wight disease round about the First World War. And to replace them, bees were imported from the continent, mainly from Italy, and they have a much more yellow banding to them. So yeah, quite surprising to see these dark bees. So although this Himalayan balsam is a real nuisance on riverbanks and nothing seems to stop it spreading, from a beekeeper's point of view it's a real bonus, because most British flowers have stopped flowering now, and unless you've got heather to go at, then the honey season's more or less finished. And these flowers give out a vast amount of nectar. They're also unusual in this country in that most seed dispersal is caused by the fruits of the plant drying out before they split, things like pea pods and gorse pods. But this thing, because it's on riverbanks and has access to plenty of water, it absorbs large amounts of water into the fruit, and the pressure builds up, and if I just pinch this one, you'll see what happens. And the fruit are dispersed by these things coiling up. See if I can do another one. All 4 seeds thrown far and wide. Amazing. The other thing is the pollen is white and quite luminescent, particularly in dim light. And all these insects, like this bee here, are covered with this stuff. You see it on its back, all white, like a big white stripe. And when they get thickly covered with it, wasps in particular, like little ghosts whizzing about. I noticed that the honeybees go in the front and then come out the side. And he's gone back in again. So they are an amazing flower. Sort of attached halfway along by this stalk. I think I might just have a look, pull one apart and see what's inside it. Oh, like most flowers, it doesn't make the nectar very easy to get to. It's in that little sac at the bottom there, so the bee has to fight its way right through the flower in order to get at the nectar in that little sac at the back. And when it goes in, its back rubs against the male part of the flower, which you can see there. It's like a little brush on the top. And that has all the white pollen on it, so like the sperm of the flower, if you like, which it carries off to other flowers. Therefore you don't get self-pollination at all, which produces weak offspring. You want cross-pollination for good, strong offspring. So there I've pulled a flower in half. And you see the nectar just by my thumb with all the sweet juices in it for attracting the insects, the bees. And you can see the pollen there. That white pollen just underneath where the stalk attaches. And that's also where the female part of the flower is, that makes the seed. And I suspect the female part of the flower is not fertile, while the male parts are producing pollen, otherwise it would fertilise itself, which is bad news if you're a flower. So I suspect the female part of the flower doesn't develop until the pollen has all gone. Right, it's a clever thing, and of course has great big coloured petals there for attracting insects they can see a mile away. It's a wonderful thing. It's just a pity it's such a pest. So there's the male part of the flower. It obviously drops off and leaves the female part exposed for pollination. And there you can see one with just the female part, the male part having fallen off. And that develops into the fruit, the exploding fruit. Yeah. Now, how did nature come up with something like that? Truly amazing. And why does the flower have to be such a complicated shape? I have no idea. Anyway, things you do to pass the time when the rod ends are not moving at all. Fascinating, fascinating. Well, it's now 8 o'clock and the rod ends haven't moved an inch. It's a beautiful evening. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's nice and warm. And the sun's going down on the willows opposite, so I'm facing into the sun. So you couldn't ask for anything nicer really, apart from no fish. Well, it's not just a delight. It's a wonderful fish. Oh, as he put his barb, his dorsal fin, it's absolutely perfect. There he is. He's put it up for us. Fantastic. Lovely colours. Anyway, I would think it's about 7.5 pounds. So I'll pop him straight back in. Beautiful. just lost one. That's really annoying. This hook pull, that was it. It's gone. It's 9:45. So a good bit of time yet. You can night fish down here anyway, so there's no mad rush. It's 10:15, and it's been absolutely wonderful evening. So I fished this absolutely new water to me, and nothing for nearly 3 hours. A couple of taps then, and had a beautiful fish on, and then missed one. But such is fishing. Anyway, I'll leave you with the one fish and a dissection of a Himalayan Balsam flower. But I'll fish on for probably another half an hour. Unlike these waters where you have to be off half an hour after lighting up time here, you can stay on a little bit longer. But unless I catch anything to show you, I'll bid you a very good night. Good night to you.